Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here on this Wednesday, January 24th, with my next update video. I have a lot to talk about and not a whole lot of time to do it. I was originally not going to film today, but then I carved out a chunk of time, and so I thought, well, I better just do it. But now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm gonna lose the light. So I better get to talking, because what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to talk whips and upcoming whips. I'm going to talk about books and knits. I'm going to talk about plans for all three. And I also have just a little bit of acquisitions and a little bit of not stitchy kindness. But you'll understand that more here in a little bit. From what I could tell, I only had one question for Q&A, and it was with relation to Thor. And I'm actually going to save that question for next week, because I would really like for Thor to be on camera. But he just fell asleep right there, and so I'm not gonna disturb him just to be on video so that I can have him on the video. So I'll just answer that question next week, and I'll be sure to sit down with him at some point this week and film it with him. Because, yeah, that's just how it's going to be. So if you hear snores, it's him. It's not me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right in. Actually, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to get to them next time. By and large, I'm an open book, but, you know, of course, limits. Anyway. And also, one last thing. The more astute among you might notice a bit of change of scenery right there and there. Those are Danny's board games. I thought that it was just about time, since he's had them for a month now, to finally find a space for his board games. He was really excited. I did it as a surprise. I cleared off all of the partially used skeins and put them in a tote bag right there, or down there on the floor. And so that his board games have a space, because poor thing, they were tucked back in the corner of a closet. So I thought that high time to get them up on the bookshelf. It's only fair. I have 4 of them. They're stuffed with my things. He can have a little, a little bit. And okay, because the question's going to happen. What are you wearing that's knitwear? And this is something that I knit early last year. This is the Ashburn Shawl by Melanie Berg. And I knit it out of Malabrigo sock in the eggplant, which is this purple. Ochre, which is the gorgeous honey golden yellow color, and lettuce, which is the green, which is all the way down here. It is way too warm for January here in Virginia to be wearing a shawl, but I don't care. Winter is for wearing hand knits, so if I gotta be a little extra warm so that I can wear my hand knits, then I will. It's fine. I might be the only, one of 3 people on this planet, or it's at least in the northern hemisphere, that's complaining it's not cold enough. But that's the case. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in, and I'm just going to start from the top and work my way down. And the first thing that I want to talk to you about is that the Queen of UFO strikes back. Or strikes again, I guess I should say. So I have decided to UFO a project, and the reason that I'm UFOing it is that I was randomly watching, because I do this, one of my Mania videos from last year, and this sentiment popped up. And then over the last couple of weeks, I've had nightmares about this project, where it's come up that it's wrong, and that it's not going to meet my expectations for the finished product. So, I'm UFOing this, but with plans to restart, okay? So, before you guys go clutching your pearls, it's okay. I'm going to restart it. And that is Mirabilia's Seaside Kingdom. And I started this for Mania last year. I started it, I believe, on May the 8th of last year. And this is one of my most beloved Mirabilia designs that I paid way too much for out of print pricing. But nonetheless, and so there we have it. And the reason that I am UFOing it for now is the fabric. So I thought that this fabric by Under the Sea Fabrics called Beach Walk was going to be picture perfect for this design. And this is the 32 count linen, and it's a gorgeous sandy color. It's beautiful. It's got some hints of green in it. It's beautiful, and I cannot wait to find something to fit on it. But this is not it, and that's the back. Oops. Okay, so here's my issue with it. The majority of the sandcastle is not stitched. It is wholly dependent on the background. The palest parts of the castle are not stitched. And so there are plenty of people who have filled in the sandcastle so that it can work for their fabrics, their blues or their browns like mine. But this project means so much to me that I don't want to have to finagle with that. I don't want to have to mess with trying to fill it in to make it look right, and then what if I get the colors wrong, or what if I'm not filling it in to where the light is playing correctly. I just don't want to deal with that. I want this to be... I also am concerned that this is too dark, and that this is light, and it's happy, and it's like memories stitched into a picture. And so I'm just going to restart it because I'm not in love with my fabric choice, and I had convinced myself that it would be okay, but the more that I've not worked on it, and most of my mania starts from last year have the same status, but whatever, and having nightmares about it, and I'm just not comfortable with it not being correct. It's not how I want it. It's not the finished piece that I want. And so I'm going to restart this for Mania this year. Real quick, I'm starting 3 projects for Mania. That's it, just 3. And the other 2 will fall under my new start rules, but this one won't since it's a restart. I'm just going to leave it kitted, but then I'm going to get some fabric, probably white, if I'm honest. And I know that that's boring, and I know that it's counterintuitive to Mirabilia designs. They lend themselves so well to hand-dyeds. But this is stitched on white. And it's so pretty as it is. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it just as it is. And it will be just fine. So, as much as it pained me to delete it from my X-Stitch app, like it's just such a much happier place for me with regards to that project. It's just so much better for me to get this done right. Okay, so now let's get into the works in progress. And the last I saw you, I was working on this design. This is Firewing Designs Paladin. And I filmed last Thursday, if memory serves. And so you'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like last time. And I stitched a little bit the evening of last Thursday. I can't remember the date now. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Khaleesi by Under the Sea Fabrics, and I love this, you guys. I really do. So I'm just smitten. I really love how it's turning out. I can't wait to get to the part where I'm back stitching so that it pops and shimmers. Yeah, I really enjoy this. So I finished out the bottom of this part and then came up here and did a tiny little bit of this before I conked out. So there is that. And this will come back out at a later date, maybe, possibly, who knows. We shall see. For now, it is not Year of Whips. Okay, next, let's get to Friday. Oh, this weekend was interesting. So, first of all, my weekend project for this weekend was Heaven and Earth Designs Snow Castle by Randall Spangler. And so, preview here of what this looked like the last you saw it. I had just about 1,400 stitches left of the page, and so I set this grand statement that I was going to try to do it on Friday during the Off the Grid Friday party stitch-in, stitch-a-thon, stitch from 6 to midnight. And so I did. Yeah, I did just that. I did about 400 stitches in the morning. I had about 1,000 to do that evening. Knocked it out, no problem. And 100 stitches more. So I'm going to go ahead and show you where I got to by the end of the weekend, and then I'll ramble on as I do. This is on a 25 count Lugana, easy count Lugana from Zweigart. It's got the 10 by 10 gridded blocks. So there we go, catching the light. Oh, it's so pretty. I really, really love that. So first things first that you should know is that this block right here crested the halfway point in the vertical. So that's pretty exciting. The palest blues in there is the wizard sort of floating in smoke up near the top, and I'm really pleased to see how clear that is to see. Because in the picture, you can barely see his silhouette there, but it's not real obvious. And so I'm really pleased that it's popping pretty good on the stitched part. So, like I said, I finished page 1 on Friday. Woohoo! Mini sort of finish, I guess. Kind of. And then I did another 100 stitches before I was like, I have to go to bed. I'm exhausted. Saturday, we had board game night, but it was really kind of like an all-day thing. So we had Danny's brother and a couple of our mutual friends over. And we grilled out because it's in the 50s and 60s pretty much for the next 2 weeks. And then we played board games until 4 in the morning. Yeah. So I did about 20 stitches to say that I stitched that day, and then that was it. I was done after that because I had, more things to do to get ready for everybody to come over. So then on Sunday, I picked this up. It was really good that I actually had Saturday off, because when I got back to this on Sunday, I was already burnt out. I went really hard on Friday to try to get the page done. And, I mean, this stitches up really fast. And on top of that, the motivation to the page finish just steams me along even more. But just the prospect of starting a new page, plus doing 1,400 stitches in a day, 1,500 stitches in a day, I was tired. And I was really kind of done with these dark shades. It's blue and black. I'm officially calling this my big bruise because it's just blue, black, and blue. And so yeah. So I managed 2,500 stitches for the weekend, which is still pretty great considering I didn't stitch for one day. One day I got nothing done. So I will take my 2,500 stitches and be happy. And this project will go away until mid-February. So there is that. Really happy to have that page finish. It's not a page finish on one of my focus heids for the year, but still page finishes feel really good. Plus one of my mania starts is a Heaven and Earth design. It falls under my Heaven and Earth design rule in that I need as many page finishes as number of heids that I currently have. So that was my 5th. 3 more to go between now and the 1st of May. But we'll talk more about that later because it's January just. Okay, so Monday morning rolls around, and you guys know I haven't been exactly subtle about this. I was really, really excited for Monday to roll around and for me to finally get going on my year of whips and to work on projects that I was really, really excited about. And in particular, I was excited to get back to this lady. So this is the Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. And you'll be seeing a preview here of what she looked like. The last I showed her would have been in my Year of Whips preview video, because I didn't bring her last time. And this is on a 32 count linen, Belfast linen in Vintage Blue Whisper by Zweigart. It's a printed fabric. And she's on my frame because I'm working on her this weekend. OMG. I love it. I can't get enough. I cannot get enough. So, a real obvious thing is she has an arm. She has an arm. And then I have come down, I've worked a little bit in the sleeve and in the roses. And so I'll just bring it in a little bit closer so that you can see skin 1/1. I haven't backstitched the arm yet because I was waiting to finish out that sleeve portion before I did the backstitch. And I still have a little tiny bit of work to do on the roses, and more specifically in the stuff down here. And then I will stitch the skin of her hand and arm. And yeah, I'm just smitten, absolutely smitten. I haven't felt like this about a project in a really long time, where I was just in like pure joy working on it. It's been a long time, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So so there is that. And I have her today and tomorrow. Like I have mentioned previously, my goal for the month is to finish the skin. But in order to do that, I've got to carry the flag down a little bit, and this part of the neckline of her dress, and this, I guess, sleeve. It's like in this region. So like all of this I have to do before I can get to the arm underneath it. So still a considerable amount to do in order to be able to get it done this month. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And so that will kind of segue us into plans a little bit. My immediate stitching plans anyway. So obviously I've got her through Thursday. And then after my Heaven and Earth Designs weekend, I have 3 more days left of the month, and then the 1st of February. So essentially another 4-day block before I start into my February official month rotation. And so I've been sort of tossing around ideas on what I'm going to do with that 4-day block. And so I'm of 2 minds. I can either go back to this to achieve my goal, or I can do what I had originally set. And originally I had set that as Stitcher's Choice. And so it was to work on kind of whatever I want. To work on things that aren't Year of Whips, or to work on things that that I just want to work on. The reason that I'm leaning towards her or to another Year of Whips piece for that 4-day block is that Year of Whips didn't start until the second half of January. And so I was working on non-Year of Whips pieces for the first 2 weeks or whatever. So I've got some decisions to be made. I guess it kind of depends on what happens between today and tomorrow. If I can get that arm done by tomorrow and I'm ready to switch, then I will. If not, then I won't. It's kind of that simple. So there is Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. Hashtag Lady of Gratitude Sal. Hashtag She's a Foxy Lady. So there's that. I'll just set her over here because Thor came in and I do not want him to slobber on that. That would not be good. Okay, so this weekend is, like always, a Heaven and Earth Designs weekend. And so for this weekend, I'm going to use something not Snow Castle, and I'm really excited about that. And so this weekend, I am focusing on the By the Numbers event, where the goal is to stitch 1,200 stitches within the month of January. I'm giving myself 3 days, but again, if I don't reach that, then I still have that 4 days afterward, which is why I put By the Numbers at the end of the month, because just in case I can't reach that goal in the allotted 3 days, then there's some wiggle room, shall we say. So my project for By the Numbers is in this moment, and this project will be featured every single fourth full weekend, for 1,200 stitches. So that's north of 14,000 stitches, I want to say. So that's 2 pages right there. But you know me, 1,200 stitches. But this one is a little bit more confetti heavy. So needle minders. First of all, this is In This Moment by Jeremiah Kettner, nicknamed McKenna, hence the Playboy bunny, and the sequined party owl. You get it. And then a purple agate slice because I needed an agate slice or one of the no-name needle minders, because that's my favorite for these 700 designs. So this is on non-gridded 25 count Lugana, which is going to take some getting used to. Again, I mean, it's not pre-gridded. I think I've gridded page 2. And this is cream Lugana. I wonder if cream would be okay for Seaside Kingdom. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit. I might just do white just because I'm, you know, like that. And so here is where I'm starting from. This piece is gigantic. This is by far my largest project. And so I am going to be working on page 2. And I don't have the whole page gridded. So that's awesome. So I'm going to have to do that. But I have half of it gridded. And so you can see the splotches of color there. So I will be working on this for this weekend. And then we'll see what happens next week. You guys will find out when I do. Pretty much. So now let's talk about February plans. So I printed out my February calendar, but I'm not going to go through it step by step. This is just kind of a preview. So the first thing you will see that will probably pop out to you is this purple line here. That is the Stitch Mania Winter Olympics event. And so those are my plans set in place for that, which is really what helped me figure out what my plans were for the rest of the month, excluding that. So I guess just real quickly, for the monthly sale is pink or flowers. And In This Moment has pink flowers. So I'm going to use that for the monthly sale. So you'll see this next weekend as well as this upcoming weekend. Then we have the quarterly sale weekends, and that won't change, so that will again be Snow Castle. And then we're bookended again by In This Moment for By the Numbers. So 2 6-day chunks for each of those Heaven and Earth designs. Then we have the first full week of the month I dedicate to the Stitch Mania month-long theme sale or Tour Day Designer sale, depending on which one applies to my whips. And in this case, I was able to fit Jingles by Lizzie Kate into the foodie section. I did not bring that, but I will show it to you before we get into that. And then I have my Lady of the Flag week, and then I have just one last full week, and I decided to devote that to Afternoon in New York by Country Cottage Needleworks. That fits in really well with my plans for the Winter Olympics sale, and so that's why I gave it a 4-day chunk right there, because then I can work on it essentially for 2 things at once. And February is a really short month, so that is the only 4-day chunk that I have for a Year of Whips piece other than Lady of the Flag. So there's that, but you know, I'll talk plans over and over again from now until forever. But I just kind of wanted to briefly show that to you. Up next, I want to show you something that everybody else has already shown you, so it won't take very long. Crinkle, crinkle. And that is Crinkle, crinkle, maybe. There it is. Threads of the Month from Color and Cotton. So everybody will have already shown you these, and so I'm not going to go through them. These are brights. They are not that bright. they're rich colors. These are more jewel tone, definitely. So, but semi-solid and gorgeous nonetheless. Angela can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Plus this gorgeous wintry gray blue in here. Yeah, I love that. So there's the threads of the month. Love those. Next is something that I got in the mail as a gift. This is some not stitchy kindness. It's not stitchy directly. So Annette, who is AZ Annette, AZ Annette 414 on Instagram, she messaged me and she was like, hey, I thought I found something I would like to send to you. Can I have your address? And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And so I got this in the mail the other day, and more crinkle. But it is a bag of friction pens, and it's like in all of the colors. So, and these are Pilot friction ball pens, and I think they're 0.38 millimeter, but I can't be sure of that. So, oh goodness, here we go. And then this is just an additional eraser, I'm assuming. But I don't know that for sure. It's either an eraser or... Okay, yes, it's an eraser. Because these pens erase. They erase. And they come in all the colors. And I was most excited to see a purple because my Staedtlers came with no purple, and I need some purple in my life. So this is getting used immediately. So Annette, thank you so much. My bullet journal is so happy to have these. I had to do some whiteout on some parts, and if I had had these and utilized them months ago, then I wouldn't have had that problem. So Annette, thank you so very much. These are fab. Really excited about that. Okay, so that is it for the acquisitions, purchases, and fab stitchy kindness. I gotta tell you guys, I'm spoiled. I don't know what I did, but I am eternally grateful to anybody who has sent me anything. I'm overwhelmed, and I have to find a way to give back a little bit better because wow, just wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over and talk books. We are moving at a pretty steady pace, which is excellent because I'm losing light. But just a couple more things. So, first things first in books is something that I finished reading. And this should come as no surprise, but this is Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. And this is really short. It's less than 170 pages. And I rated this 4 stars. This is not the movie. It's not the movie. The movie took some things out of this and then, like, ran with it and created this whole story that doesn't exist in this book. Unfortunately, I have seen the movie so many times that Lisa and Daisy immediately called Angelina Jolie and Brittany Murphy to my head. And their stories in the movie. And those things don't particularly happen. There are some similarities, like Daisy's obsession with chicken. But by and large, very different. And I liked this for what it was. It was kind of terrifying, if I'm honest, because it generated within me some introspection into some parts of myself that I see similar to her. And I don't know if that's necessarily a path that I should be going down. Kind of feels like WebMDing myself. Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting sort of takeaway from this. I found some very strong similarities between Susanna and I. What this really touches on is the mental health care system. And of course, this takes place in the late 60s, and so things have changed quite a lot over the last 50 years. Um, but not enough. Our mental health system in the United States has leaps and bounds to improve upon. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, it's one of those big problems that needs an answer, but it's not going to be a simple answer, and it's certainly not going to be an answer from me. But this was really, really interesting. Definitely a great read. Definitely not a Lily read. Okay. And so, like I said, 4 stars. And so that is my first book for the Around the Year challenge. This was to pick something that's a short book. And so I think I said short to me was less than 200 pages. So there is that. And then next is something that you already know that I was planning on reading. I finally unburied it. My bookshelves are a disaster. You can't see them from here, but trust me, they're a disaster. And so this is Half a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And there's a picture of her on the back. I saw a TED Talk from her once and immediately wanted to read everything that she ever wrote. And so this was the first thing that I grabbed because I like that it's a floppy paperback. I haven't started it yet. I need to. This is a book that I picked because it is... for the Around the Year challenge, I grabbed Intimidating. And this is the picture of Intimidating to me because it is about war-torn Nigeria and in the late 60s. And yeah, this is going to be, and it's over 500 pages and it's adult fiction. So it's like, yeah, it's going to be intense. So this is what I'm classifying as intimidating, and I need to get on this because the end of January is next Thursday, and I wanted to read this before the end of the month. So I will probably be reading this today, maybe tomorrow, maybe not till tomorrow. As far as Across the Universe is concerned, I read a little bit, I think 50 pages since we last spoke, or listened to about the equivalent of 50 pages. I clearly need to be in the right mindset for young adult fiction because I'm finding so many problems with this book. And I've read it before, so it shouldn't be coming as a surprise, but I'm not loving it the way that I did the first time I read it. The first time I read it in one day, and I just practically inhaled it. And now I am finding flaws that I just didn't see back then. I don't know if it's because I've read some really brilliant, high quality science fiction since the first time I read it. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's because I'm just too far removed from the mindset of the characters that I just can't. But we shall see. So I'll get back to that and I'll try to finish it before the end of the month, but we'll see. The next book I debated on whether I was going to show. I'm going to show it, but I'm not going to talk about it any further unless you want to privately. This is going to be a polarizing book, but polarizing conversations need to happen. I shouldn't shy away from this just because it might be polarizing. You can take from this whatever you will. And this was a book that I had to jump on real quick just in case it goes on the banned book list and goes out of print. And it still took 2 weeks to get to me from Amazon Prime. And that is Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House by Michael Wolff. Highly controversial, highly biased, but I am curious, terrified to read this. And so that's all I'm going to say about it. If you have thoughts and feelings that are negative, then I'm sorry. But there it is. Sorry, not sorry? Okay, so that is it for books that I'm currently reading and going to read and that sort of a thing. And now let's talk about book plans. So because we are leading into February, it's time to draw 2 new books from my TBR jar for the Around the Year challenge. I debated on whether I was going to pull 2 or just 1 because I haven't read the second one yet, but I'm just going to go with the 2 and we'll run with it and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to shake this up. Okay. And I'm going to grab 2 and hope that they're not the long one, because if they're the long one, then I have no chance of reading all of it in between now and the end of February, but we'll see what happens. So this first one here that we have drawn is originally written in a language other than English. I bet I don't have anything like that. Maybe. So I'll have to look into that. And then I wonder if I have a Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I will have to look. Anyway, ooh, here's a good one. Literary fiction. That's pretty broad. And so I will have to figure that out. And so during the editing process, I will figure that out and I will insert the covers of them here and I'll talk about them when I read them. So that's exciting. Litfic, and originally written in another language other than English. Okay, now let's switch over to knits. And the first thing about knits that I'm going to tell you is that I did not bring my sock today. I have knit about 3/4 of an inch on the foot, but it's just stockinette in the round, and I'm not progressing on that. I need to, but I'm just not. So, c'est la vie. And then the other thing that I have worked on, and I worked on it a lot this morning, I woke up at 4 this morning and just couldn't go back to sleep, so I got up and I knit for a little while. And that is my Rochambeau Cowlette by Karina Spencer. And as I said, I've made some really good progress on this. I'm in the round now. So here's my stitch marker, but, oh, there goes the yarn ball. Anyway, my stitch marker, I don't think that I moved it after last time, so I think I was up a little bit higher. Maybe not a ton, but a little bit. And so I knit more stockinette in the shawl, in the little mini shawl looking thing, and then I reached the point that it wanted me to, and then I joined in the round, and now I'm working on the lace. And this lace is kind of weird. It's just not how, I mean, I'm not a knitwear designer, so take this with a grain of salt, but this is not how I would have designed it. And so this is my first project for Willy Wonka Palooza. This is knit on US size 4s, 3.5 millimeter needles. And the yarn is the Plucky Knitter Primo Fingering in the Kindred Spirits colorway, which was inspired by Anne of Green Gables. And it is going to be a cowlette. I haven't tried it on, but I'm thinking that it'll fit. What do you think? It'll fit. So this part, do I have that right? Yes. This part will go over my neck. Maybe it's like this. Yes, it's like this. Okay. I don't know how this works. If I knit, I do it. Okay. So this part will go over the back of my neck, and then this part will hang down my front like a shawl would, like this point does down the front. So my head has to get through here. Anyway, love this. Really enjoying the knit of it. Primo Fingering is kind of an interesting base because it's 20% cashmere, but I have felt 10% cashmeres that have felt softer than Primo fingering does, but knitting with this, I'm like, oh, there's the cashmere. There it is. So this is definitely a yarn that like needs to work before you can feel like the true softness of it. And I don't know if that's just my experience or what, but anyway, so there's that. And so that's another one that I'm really trying to finish before the end of the month. I'm trying to do a lot before the end of the month, and we only have a week left. So there's that. Okay, so now into knitwear plans or knitting plans. The prompt for the Woolly Wonka Palooza for February is pink or cowl. And so I, once again, am trying to fit both. Now, I am coupling that with a knit along for Eat Sleep Knit. The quarterly knit along for this first quarter here is Tin Can Knits. And so Tin Can Knits is a designer. And so I looked at Tin Can Knits cowls and decided to try to match it up with some pink in my stash. And what I found was that I didn't really have the pink stash that I need to be able to accomplish the cowl that I chose. And the cowl that I chose is the Gothic Lace Cowl. And it is essentially a scarf, but at the ends it's got buttonholes, crocheted on buttonholes, so I'm going to have to work on my crochet skills, which I don't have, so this could be interesting. But it's crocheted on buttonholes so that you can join them with the buttons to make the cowl. And I'm going to knit the extra long version, which is 400 yards, give or take. And so that I can double wrap or single wrap and make it a long cowl, you know, sort of play with it however I please. And the lace patterning that's in it, this is the reason that I picked it. It's got lace patterning, and I love me some good lace. Throw in a few yarn overs and decreases, and I'm happy camper. But this lace pattern is very familiar. It is the same concept as the Grey Havens cowl that I knit 2 years ago that my mom stole from me. So it's kind of the same idea, but without doing the exact same thing. It calls for Aran or worsted weight, and so I ordered 2 skeins of Malabrigo worsted, which is a single ply worsted, which is kind of unique. 100% merino in a pink colorway, and now I can't remember which one I got. With the recent Women's March, pink worsted weight yarn is really hard to come by right now. It's not easy to come by. Anyway, I can't remember the colorway that I ended up getting, but it's a soft pink, and so it won't be in your face pink, but it'll be a nice pink. So when that arrives, I will show it to you. The thing about the Eat Sleep Knit cowls is that it has to be Eat Sleep Knit yarn, of course. And so I have to find a way to make them mesh together. This is the first year where I really think that I can do the 4 quarterly cows, and I can't remember what they all are off the top of my head, but I'm going to try to accomplish them all. So, woohoo! So there's that. And then finally, so in February, I will knit the second sock for my pair of socks, and so I've got my Woolly Wonka Palooza project, my sock, and then in February I'm working on a whip. And so this month I am working on a project that I'm really, really hoping I can finish next month. I think that if I put some good time into it, I can get it done. Let me see if I have a preview. I have the lamest of all previews, so I'm not even going to insert that. But this is the Pegasus Wing Shawl, and it is by Gabrielle Knits, and it's a lot of fun to knit, but I haven't worked on it as consistently as I need to. And I hope these are the right size needles. Well, 6s, that seems right. Anyway, so this is an asymmetrical shawl, and it is it's knit in a whole bunch of colors, as you can see. with one main body color. And then it has this cool sort of textured section here. And then we go through the colors. And so I'm knitting mine out of, this is Madeline Tosh Merino Light. And my main color is Silver Fox, I think. But don't quote me on that. And then my colors are, they are Madeline Tosh Unicorn Tails. And Unicorn Tails are these adorable mini skeins that Madeline Tosh put together. And then Eat Sleep Knit took a whole bunch of them and sort of color matched them together into like these themed bundles. And so, so here's one of them. I wound it up on a ball, but it's, you know, it's been on a ball for like 2 years now. Oh, I've got my tags. Who would have thunk? Silver Fox, what do you know? And then my Unicorn Tails, Firewood, Dust Bowl, Tart, and Onyx. Tart is a very popular Mad Tosh color, but let me just pull out these cute little minis and show them to you real quick. So here is, this is Dust Bowl, I think. Yes, okay, so Dust Bowl, Onyx, which is basically all over black, very tonal black, but nonetheless. I don't know that that color is still available. Tart, which is quintessential Mad Tosh, and Firewood, which is the variegated colorway. And so these are used in a specifically described order throughout this little shawl. So I don't think I'm quite halfway yet, but I really enjoy knitting on this when I'm working on it, and so I think I could get it done in February. Okay, is that everything? Whew, I hope so. I think that's everything. A lot in a short period of time, but had to be done. So it's about 4 o'clock now. I need to get off of here and get to editing so that hopefully this can get uploaded before Dana gets home. And yeah, so thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you for your continued support of me and my channel. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're stitching, and I will see you next time.